Whenever you generate power, your joints must be braced and stable. If there's any wobbling in your joints when you hit, you will make an error. If your practice doesn't translate to matches, focus more on your serve and receive. This disconnect happens when your weak serve allows a high-quality return that you can't attack. If you have a high-quality serve and they push it back, you can attack it easily. If you constantly make errors on your receive, you'll naturally have this disconnect. Even with a great forehand and backhand, if you can't use them in a match, they mean nothing. My father's build isn't for rallying, but his serve-receive is masterful and his serve is strong. He gets a quick attack, a powerful kill shot, and smart placement, and the point is over. Most players can't beat him, only professionally trained players can. Players with this disconnect often make the mistake of only drilling fundamentals. To improve your match play, you must master your serve and receive. If your opponent's return is always high quality after your serve, how can you possibly attack? Because your serve is low quality, I can return it aggressively, making it impossible for you to loop. So, you must elevate your understanding and improve your serve and receive game. Today, we're teaching you controlled power generation, not just blindly hitting the ball. These are two different concepts. How to generate power while keeping the ball on the table is the focus of today's lesson. First, let's talk about hitting. You don't need to overspin a topspin ball. Against topspin, you should focus more on creating arc and placement, not on generating extreme spin, which is very difficult. The first principle of power, all power generation must be compact. For example, to generate power on a push, my body must press down into a compact state. For a power drive, it's the same, the entire body tightens into a compact unit. For loops, high arc loops, and backhands, the body should primarily be compact. What does not compact look like? It's pulling your shoulder back on the backswing and throwing it forward on the follow-through. This kind of loose motion will almost always result in the ball going out of bounds. So, how do you stay compact? Your left and right shoulders must work towards each other. When you generate force this way, you are compact. Notice how both shoulders are driving inwards. The backhand is the same principle. If your shoulders open up and expand outwards during the stroke, your power will scatter, and the ball will likely go out. Second point, when generating power, your core must be tight and engaged. Your core must be engaged, and you need to use your body. However, the body movement shouldn't be too large, the core area must remain tight. In all power strokes, the body action must be very tight and connected, like a Latin dancer. It's not about twisting or turning the waist. Your body rotation must stop before your arm accelerates, which is how your arm generates power. If your body and arm move together, you won't generate power. The sequence is, body stops first, which accelerates the arm. This is how you create power. Let me teach you how to engage your core. It's the same for forehand and backhand. The area around your navel is your core. This includes your waist and abdominal muscles. You need to tighten them so they feel firm. To do this, breathe in and pull your stomach in. That's core engagement. When playing, your stomach can't be pushed out or relaxed. A tight core prevents your power from dissipating. At the moment of impact, you should be holding your breath. The feeling is like a quick exhalation or grunt, as you finish your backswing. You hear professional players grunt. That's the feeling of suddenly holding your breath to create tension. It's not just for power shots, athletes maintain this tension even on serves. Normally, you should use this breathing technique on serves too, because you need to generate force. You have to hold your breath to stay tight. Otherwise, you'll lose control of the movement. All of this is preparation you must do before your hand even touches the ball. Many errors are not caused by your hand. We can divide power generation into two types: active power and late-stage power. Active power uses a full backswing, while late-stage power is generated close to the ball with minimal backswing. First, let's discuss active power. Its advantage is that it can generate maximum force. This is because you create space between you and the ball to accelerate into it. This motion, where I create space before impact, is called active power generation. Active power is the easiest way to generate force because you are creating a collision with the ball. Think of it like this: a car hitting a parked car has less impact than two moving cars colliding head-on. The faster the cars, the greater the damage. The force is greatest when you meet the ball with your own momentum. So, when should you use active power generation? Only use a large backswing when the opponent's ball is slow and you are in the perfect position. Because the larger your backswing, the more power you can transfer to the ball. Therefore, you should only use a full, deliberate backswing when the opponent's shot is slow or soft. When you're moving to the ball, I don't recommend a large backswing, as you can easily lose control. Many players wonder why the ball goes out even when they don't feel like they're hitting hard on the run. It's often because your backswing is too big. With the same motion but a smaller backswing focused on late-stage power, the ball would likely stay on the table. When you have to cover a large distance, like moving from backhand to forehand, you should use late-stage power generation. However, after your first attack, if you are stationary and they block it back, I recommend using a full backswing for active power. This is more effective. Amateur players struggle to generate power because their direction of force is wrong. If the ball is in front of you, your racket path should be directed towards it. You can't just swing randomly without tracking the ball's path. Many players miss or hit the ball out against topspin or backspin because their swing direction is incorrect. The first part of a forehand drive is essentially a forward motion, a push. But after this forward push, you need to add a follow-through motion. I must first connect with the incoming ball's force to generate my own power effectively. How do you connect with the force? Your swing path must be aligned with the trajectory of the incoming ball. Your forearm, shoulder, and upper arm must all drive forward together. For all forehand topspin techniques, the initial contact feeling is one of driving forward. After driving forward, you then execute the arm wrap or follow through. Let me demonstrate. Watch, drive, drive. Snap. Snap. By driving forward, you've already used the opponent's power. The subsequent acceleration of your arm adds even more force to the shot. Now let's talk about the follow-through. Most amateurs play close to the table. Therefore, the close-to-the-table game must rely on the forearm, not the upper arm. Watch how my forearm moves on the follow-through. It's actually the force of inertia that completes the motion, not an active pull towards my body or upwards, which is incorrect. I believe you should use a braking motion with your forearm as you drive forward. If you consciously try to wrap your forearm, you'll find the action is too slow. Also, amateurs often have too wide of a swing, which causes the ball to go out. So, after driving forward, I use a braking, snapping motion with the forearm. The first characteristic of this snapping forearm motion is that it's compact. The second point is that at the end of the motion, the force is contained and tight. This is why you can generate power and keep the ball on the table. To summarize, this snapping forearm motion is fast, compact, and powerful. After the initial forward drive, my final forearm snap is very quick and has a short range of motion. And most importantly, you must commit to generating maximum force. That final snap must be explosive, not loose or scattered. At that moment of braking, your hand and forearm must work together to grip the racket tightly. This applies to all forehand and backhand strokes. It's not about deliberately wrapping the arm. Let me show you a few demonstrations. Drive. Snap. Snap. Drive. Drive. The whole sequence is drive, then snap. On my forehand, you can see a clear acceleration at the end of my stroke. It's the same for a power loop against backspin. Whenever you generate power, your joints must be braced and stable. Whether I'm driving or looping, my joints are braced. Your joints must be stable. If there's any wobbling in your joints when you hit, you will make an error. Your shoulder, elbow, and wrist must be braced to generate power. Brace your joints, then generate force. The reason you keep making errors is that your elbow and wrist are wobbling when you try to hit hard. With that instability, you'll make errors even on soft shots, let alone power shots. Those previous examples showed a clear wobble in the elbow or wrist. Of course, you can't hit the ball consistently like that. At the moment of impact, your entire frame must be solid. A professional's rhythm is relaxed on the backswing, then explosive tension at contact. Amateurs, however, do the opposite. They are tense on the backswing and loose at contact. Only by being relaxed can you create acceleration without deforming your stroke, which allows for that final, sharp braking motion. Your hand is relaxed, and then at impact, it becomes completely solid and braced. If you are already tense, you can't accelerate properly, your stroke will fall apart. So, you must keep your arm relaxed during the backswing. Then, at the moment of contact, your joints must lock in and be firm. This will make your power shots much more stable.